strong AD carry as well. Strong, point-and-click Lissandra, bunch of point-and-click tanks.
Okay, so Azir this time, obviously Nunu good synergy with both Azir and Sivir for putting out constant DPS in the late game. You have a big tank line once again, so TL running a relatively similar composition, except they're trading the Lissandra for a more distance-oriented zoning mage. Hai's going to take the Lissandra this time. And again, lots of crowd control this time from C9, but they switch over for the Lucian in this game. And it's so C9's basically playing the same composition that Liquid had in the last game for all intents and purposes. The only difference is really that Nautilus is here to add some more engage rather than counter engage. So Sneaky's going to be a little bit more on his own in this game behind this big wall of tanks. So it's very important that Cloud9 positions properly in front of him in order to make that work. Whereas TL, they do have a higher pick potential just because they've got a lot of speed boosts, and they'll have the better 4-1 split. So if you're TL right here, you probably want a 4-1 split and just try and take turrets as you're able to, because you have that damage down onto the turrets as Azir, and then you have the Blood Boil with the 80 carry. Because fighting these guys straight up is going to be quite difficult. But for the most part, these comps are very similar. And this is, again, we were looking at those games yesterday, and when there are two similar styles of compositions, especially in a 5v5, it does tend to snowball really hard one way or another and can lead to some pretty quick wins, because when either of these teams gets more tank items than the other one, or if either of these 80 carries gets an extra damage item, that's going to be massive in terms of how these team fights play out, because you have engaged tank supports, you have CC mages, you have tanky CC junglers, and tanky CC top laners for the most part.
And Team Liquid is bringing out something new again. When they threw out the old
Game 3 is the really good one in this series, though. I'm mostly excited about Game 3 because that's where C9 really outplays them in terms of side wave control. And I get really hot and bothered when it comes to side wave control.
Cloud9 have so much dive, but look at they've got Alistar the bodyguard who's knocking somebody back. Phoenix is going to knock back maybe the whole team. And Cloud9 are going to do their best to climb over all these obstacles.
Boss gets to knock someone back.
I mean, they have all these knockbacks, and
Nunu gets to slow him down around there.
A lot of zone control. Let's see here, though. First, we're going to start off on level 1.
G-Flash.
Alistar, no.
Call Flash. Any combination of Flash and Pulverize?
It hasn't leveled up the skill quite yet.
They could have easily traded support Flash for Maokai Flash and maybe even gotten a kill. If especially decided to do Pulverize Flash, it would have been very hard for balls to react to. But they get the board. They were just mainly going for...
Okay, so mirror warding by both teams here. So ward here against Maokai, trying to see if they're going to be stacking saplings in the Raptors so that Lissandra can fire a Q and then take them. They should try and disrupt this if you're TL. You can see right here that they put C9 put a ward down right here just to make sure. So that should have been I'm pretty sure that was a sapling start. It's really hard to tell on the minimap. I think he just shot a Q over the wall and took the little Raptors. Not entirely sure. So yes, gets 3 CS. That's how we know. Gets 3 CS, so that we know that that is actually what happened right there.
With a route where he gets a bit lower on health in the jungle, and Sacker goes back to buy, but he got a really, really good advantage for his bottom lane. They get the lane first.
Sometimes I hate the fact that we can't have replays and I have to go to so much circumstantial evidence just to figure out what the hell is going on in this game.
Not really that far behind. Elimination, though,
But you know,
Cloud9 should still
release a game and
could get his first.
no replay mode 5.5 years later. That makes sense.
Good. Gonna be onto a special. Passive to come through does not. Out of that one safely. Piglet's able to trade back a little bit of damage. We also saw High a little bit of pressure in the mid lane from Phoenix with his bottom lane. Still great pressure from London to come out of that farm. Didn't lose too much as the wave will be getting the turret for Piglet here. So definitely a different start to the game, at least for Sneaky. He's the one piercing light through the minions here. Special and Piglet hard.
Yeah, and again, calling back to what it cost Cloud9 to get that early level 2 for the bottom lane, it cost them early jungle pressure because Sejuani's a jungler who can. Speaking of early jungle
Can,
pressure,
no, you don't need to
What?
go that far to ward it.
This could
What
be
the
some
hell?
trouble for elimination. He's waiting for his hook so he could flash the wall from distance. Could be okay.
Flash pulverize could
Wow.
play now, but
Okay,
it's not.
face check the brush for literally no reason.
Trouble for them.
I'm trying to figure out what he was thinking right there.
Sejuani's a jungler who can. Speaking of early jungle
Can, no, you don't need to go that far to ward it.
This could be a early.
She'll pick it up. It's too much.
go for the hook.
I mean, that should have been really expected. Yeah, well, whatever.
No, you don't need to go that far.
At least he doesn't die or use a summoner. Just takes a shit ton of damage for no reason.
For his hook so he could flash the wall from distance. Could be okay.
Flash pulverize could come into play now, but does not.
You don't need the ward deeper. It's a Nunu. He doesn't have any. You don't need a deep ward there. You just need to see if he's running through that brush. He doesn't have a gap closer. You can walk away, only slightly slower than he could walk at you to gank that lane. You just need a ward in the tri brush.
For a kill and be in an aggressive mindset. We would
It's not a
see
Rek'Sai.
flashes from X Special. Even just to trade or try and get in front of him to block the Nautilus hook. But the mindset they're in does seem substantially more defensive. They're a little bit worried of Meteos' presence because they didn't have knowledge that he would have done the late early jungle, and they are kind of playing this lane to farm it out.
I feel like Especial has always been one of the more defensive supports. No matter what AD carry he's been with, he was with top 4 a very long time, and there were
And Hecarim has to be careful though without any movement summoners and the fact that the Sejuani is creeping up on the top side right now.
have that better safety.
There's definitely the highest kill pressure in that lane with Maokai and Sejuani.
Double lift acro combination where they're both looking for the
Azir is some threat as well, but as soon as Azir hits 6, and Azir also took cleanse, so it's harder to lock him down.
Solo mid, so the tendency's still there on the cow, but he definitely plays it for the AD carries.
Not much exchange there. But again, what I was about to talk about was the jungle pressure sacrifice. Sejuani's a champion who can go for the 3-minute, 10-odd, 15-odd seconds gank if he wants to.
I'm really tired of watching this bottom lane now.
She can go for that if they want to, and it is nice to apply that.
You also see that just the wards around this side are very good. And Balls is freezing up here on top. They really need to make a play onto the top lane if they're going to be doing something about this.
We'll see if that does cost them top lane because Hecarim fairly.
They've done a good job of denying farm in this bottom side though and using the advantage of
I'm also wondering
having this Lucian versus the Sivir.
to try and scout the lane swap gets still ended up in this 2v2, which I do not think is to their advantage. Just theoretically, the Nautilus solution against Sivir Alistair.
Trying to
seemed like
even
that
it up
could
here.
have-
There's the flash
though. That's what they needed, especially that sneaky Lucian as well. He knows how to get out of those sticky situations, and he may still be able to provide a lot of power for the game. Failed attempt by Team
Nunu, good ganker.
as they go for a second run there.
They also both burned heals. I think the heal was burned for Piglet for the speed boost. So they actually go pretty much draw even on summoners as well.
Here we go.
He's made his way to the top lane though. That's the pressure we were looking for. Maokai sets it up.
Level 5s here. Doesn't look like anybody's going to be hitting 6 just yet.
Oh!
Quas bumps Meteos as well on the Arctic Assault, but it looks like they have enough to freeze the horse.
It's a really silly play from Quas.
Oh, wait a minute! Oh my god, he leveled as the minions were dying around him!
Quas!
And he gets first blood before he goes down. Whoa, and a dive bottom. This is Sneaky going down. That was the ignite that ticks through.
And the
That's
answer.
the one hit. Is the tick still there? He's forced to flash as well as he drives his anchor into the back of Piglet. Now
Phoenix is playing this really well though. Notice how he forces high up out of the top side to save Xpecial. One thing Phoenix has been doing in both of these games so far is playing well to the side of the lane that he needs to be protecting, right? He is going into this 1v1 trying to tie him up and just prevent Lissandra from roaming to clean up any of these kills, and then shoves him out on the opposite side of the lane to where his injured teammate is. It's really good. Phoenix is really good at controlling the angles that the enemy mid laner can attack from.
Go back into the minion line, spamming Q to get level 6. What a heads-up play from Quas.
And Spirit of the Dread
Level
damage as well,
5
healing him.
the entire time. He goes, you know what? I'm out of here. Oh, I'm not getting away. Immediate decision. You can see how quickly he makes that decision.
Starts CSing.
The minion as well as going for the Q. Boom, instant level 6, level up.
Yeah, saved his ignite well. That was a really good play from Quas. It's very good in the moment decision making, but
Plus they still had ignite, so they go for the dive. But because of that hook from Lemon Nation, Piglet takes that one extra turret shot, ruining basically what would have
Quas adapted well to that situation, and they could have punished that earlier as well, just because they've had that edge in the top side the entire time, and they had a very good hold on the minion wave. But Quas definitely could and should have been playing that more cautiously. He already has a CS advantage. He didn't necessarily have to go down there.
Also because the Alistar, let's see if they can, really take advantage of that within trades, or if Sneaky will actually make use of the extra AD. Right now, though, Team Liquid is objective focused. They have the new dominate. Definitely one that likes to stack dragon buffs early on for the team.
So easy dragon.
Keep it up. They do have the timer.
Yeah, and with an Azir on the team, someone who's great at zone control, getting the early dragons, because they can make the threat of more dragons such a huge team fight magnet, is very important for this team.
See in the top lane, Quas pulling balls pretty well. He started to chug his potions to try to get healthy once again. Second tier boots already finished from Quas, so home guards can follow next. Plays to be made. And Liquid can keep this up. Back at that bottom fight, it was a good thing. Sneaky was up in CS to get that BF because the assist also went to Piglet throughout the kills there. So each lane still staying pretty close in that sense. We still see Team Liquid confident to make the plays. Quas doing a damn good job here in the top lane. Balls can't offer too much. Trying to go for a little bit of aggressive play and maybe change his mind and say, hey, my jungler's here. Quas is fine.
He's doing a good job of threading in his auto attack too. Watching his passive there, he got it up. Went 140. So comes away very well on that trade.
Yeah, not going after that when high is not in the mid lane. Changes his mind, goes back to the Gromp instead. And now, so limited right there. What they're trying to do is why they wanted to make that trade and why they blew the Lucian ultimate is they didn't want this wave to get stuck in front of the turret. Because if you look at what Piglet's trying to do here, so C9 clears out the minion wave, and Piglet tries to freeze it here. So Xpecial and Piglet are trying to make sure that they can just keep them in a very uncomfortable position and farm easily and try and get back some of the CS. So that's why C9 dumps so many abilities into making that trade, so that they can't do that. It's little things like that, though, that if you do get that freeze right there, you can make a pretty nice comeback in the laning phase, or perhaps open up a gank for your jungler. But it's not going to happen.
He pops up his shield. He's the one to initiate. Sneaky's able to trade extra damage from the backline, but all of Team Liquid's answer is damage on Nautilus, which is exactly where Cloud9 want them to focus it. So Sneaky not coming away any worse for wear.
Uh-oh.
They know he's alone.
Ooh, they get the summoner heal just because Xpecial closes into combo range. He does have flash available, but once again, the better safe than sorry play here for Xpecial.
So we haven't even talked about that mid lane matchup, Rin.
No.
High not necessarily out CSing Phoenix in any meaningful way.
Literally
Getting
not.
this much farm, I think is a little bit dangerous. A lot of times you'd want to try and do that reliable gank mid lane, Sejuani, as well as Lissandra trying to lock down, maybe try to kill him through the cleanse, but it's just not been in the cards with the pressure this bottom lane is doing.
And we also haven't seen the full power of that as well. Looking for the Blood Boil to go on to Phoenix later could really make a factor
Alright,
in these
this
fights.
is really boring.
Bottom lane still going.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Goes in for the gank, but
Shifting sands into depth charge.
Yeah, oh yeah, this gank. I remember this one. You can't pursue this. You do not want to commit to that. Full channel. The BS is going to get attacked by a billion sand soldiers. Bye, hi.
The teleport home guard is now ready for use.
Yeah.
All the things that can knock you out because he put the perfect, he gets it from the other.
Because look at the setup for this one. The attempt to go after him here, especially, they do a good job of collapsing on him. They ping that he's in that brush because they know he's killing this ward right now. So Lemonation uses the fact that there's nobody in the bottom side to make this roam, and they want to collapse on him, right? Makes sense. But Phoenix puts a sand soldier, gets over to it, hops over to it immediately. It's interesting that he could actually see that. I'm surprised he can actually see Phoenix to ult him right here. But looks like there was just enough vision around that corner to see him. And then you can't... This is just not going to work, right? Even though Phoenix only has level 1 in ult, that's plenty in order just to prevent them from coming in. Also, they have no wards in the bottom side jungle, so, and they know that the AD and support are coming back. So, flashing over that is a huge overcommittal. You should be happy right now, if you're C9, that you blew flash. So you can come back and gank that one again later. Using just the Nautilus ult is nothing, because High and Meteos still both had their ults up. So without flash makes it a much more reliable gank. Trading the depth charge for the flash, really good. And then there's also no TP from Maokai in top. Just nothing. I mean, look at this. You have Hecarim is recalling as well. He starts recalling, and the smite goes on so long that he's actually able to fully recall and then use Home Guard. Really bad decision from Cloud9.
All the things that can knock you backwards. How hard is it going to be to initiate on this Team Liquid team? That was a preview of how difficult it's going to be.
Well, okay, well thanks chat. You have vision on Azir if you can see his soldiers. That's dumb. That's dumb. I don't like that. I don't think it was a waste of TP. Quas getting kills allows TL to safely 4-1 split. There's nothing that C9 can do against that split. So the more fed he gets, the more pressure you can put on.
So the knockback on those soldiers goes a little bit beyond that animation. I thought he'd be getting in beneath the soldiers, basically, but he was still in range for them to push him back right there, which is why he couldn't get through.
Lemon thought he had backup, so he flashed over the soldiers, but he was left on the wrong side of the shifting sands, and really good play there by Team Liquid to pick up a kill off of the overextension.
Okay, 45 seconds till Dragon. Still a pretty solid advantage. Piglet actually, in spite of being down lower, stop. Riot, stop this. This does nothing for me. Is this interesting? Is this information about the game that I am watching? Does this improve my viewing experience or my knowledge about what is happening in this game? No. No, it doesn't. Stop it. I want to look at the game, and I want to see what items people have, and I want to talk about it. If this is substantive, then go ahead and interrupt my viewing experience with it. But this is just trash. Get it off my screen.
In his item build, because he's sitting on a mana crystal as well as a physical damage dealer this early on in the game.
Thank you. Okay. Looking at this, yes, there was that CS differential, but actually because the Avarice Blade here, any team fight that's going to occur with the Sivir ultimate is going to be more advantageous to them at this juncture.
The catalyst, when he had enough gold and it just ran on the base with an extra Monarch crystal. It affects that 1v1 matchup. He's not nearly as strong as he could be.
Especially with the kills Quas is picking up. Oh,
No cleanse.
No cleanse indeed. Emperor's Divide still goes out. No, the tomb, no way. Shifting sands. He gets out. No ignite. He's good to go. Wow. Even without cleanse.
Phoenix was one of the few players that we were impressed with the
Early adopters of Azir.
early Azir play, and he definitely has not lost his skills.
No, he's quite at home right there. That was the guaranteed gank. Sejuani ult, Lissandra ult, no cleanse up, easy kill, right? But because he knocked Meteos back into the turret, he lowered the sustained damage. Meteos could not stay on that side of the Emperor's Divide to secure a kill because of the turret threat. And then when he jumped back over, Phoenix just played that so perfectly.
Both ults from Phoenix have been really strong.
Well, once again, we see the kills for Cloud9 kind of walking. No cleanse.
Phoenix
Cleanse indeed. Emperor's Divide still goes out. No, the tomb, no way. Shifting sands.
So Phoenix gets out of here, but he's extremely low after that.
Wow.
And Quas has to come and cover in mid. They don't have a good knowledge here because of the pink wards about what's going on in the back of the pit, but Maokai recalling right... I don't really understand why Maokai is recalling right now. And it seems like they have a really good opportunity to go do this dragon with the mid laner down. So you can... C9 is really easily able to walk up to that dragon. And instead Balls just goes into the top side. I don't get that. That's a really easy dragon to take right there.
Both ults from Phoenix have been really strong.
Well, once again, we see the kills for Cloud9 kind of walking away with slivers of health, just like last time, and maybe they may start going a little too hard for these kills once again, putting themselves in scary spots. Right now,
What's
Lumber
so
in this bottom third.
difficult to work around that? Phoenix, he's continually drawing the line in the sand, and Cloud9 choosing the wrong side instead. Alright, Lemon continuing to look aggressive though.
That bottom lane is really equalized too. That was a near 20 CS advantage for Sneaky earlier on in the game. Again, Sneaky picks up an early Avarice Blade, and lo and behold, Piglet's gone for damage, and they can start pushing that lane in for a
New Dragon train right here off screen. They're about to start it up again.
Yep.
They already called Quas down because he doesn't have teleport either. So
Now they lose dragon.
continues to roll Team Liquid.
I don't get it. Had every opportunity to take dragon.
Avarice Blade.
Decides not to take dragon. Better let Phoenix get back into lane with full HP.
Train right here off screen.
And then back off so that Dominate and Especial and Piglet can just walk straight into river.
Either, so the Dragon train continues to roll Team Liquid. That's number 2.
Cloud9 really hasn't even looked at this game.
Yeah, and we have to start wondering in Cloud9's head, are they entering desperation mode once again? We need to kind of look at the way these team comps are going to be reacting in the mid lane, because Kobe, you wanted to jump to those mid-game team fights at the start of the game. Well, right now Team Liquid is in a winning position.
They're the ones jumping to the team fights, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be forcing Cloud9 into them at a certain point, and I don't know if Cloud9's ready to do that.
Well, they're starting to lose map control. Whenever you start to see the ward line initially creep up into Cloud9 territory, it's a very good sign for Team Liquid. They've got the workings of the deep wards there. Slowly moving them up, a couple on the blue side for the dragon. They've got the dragon.
C9 just isn't taking advantage of the opportunities that they've been given.
On the other side,
And they're overcommitting to other ones.
starting to take their small advantage, slowly work it in so that they can see where Cloud9
There's just no towers down yet for C9 either. They're just kind of... Piglet, in spite of the CS... Look at this. In spite of all the CS he's lost, they haven't taken any tower damage yet. So there hasn't been any real pressure here. There's been good zoning from Sneaky and Lemonation, but this is the first time they're actually able to do something to the turret.
steal, and Cloud9 trying to punish them, get some tower damage.
And one of the big differences between last game
And also just the CS differential that's opened up in the mid lane thanks to Azir having that extra range.
On some point of the map, they should be able to punish. Because they
It's been pretty impressive.
Top lane
This game's
focus,
about
though.
how many catches they can get and how often they can kill Phoenix.
Nunu's still up there. They
Or
were just counter jungling.
I'm guessing this is going to be fights across the map, gentlemen. As soon as they see this happening up here, we may see something in the bottom lane. Balls back and forth.
Got
Keep
flashed
himself
also.
alive for a little bit longer here. That's good. Will the pressure from Cloud9 be able to take the bottom turret? Maybe some Surge and Gold.
Now, diving this combo is actually fairly difficult. With the All-Star Ultimate and the Spell Shield, not getting a lot done here. And let's see if they decide to go for it anyway, though. Meteos jumps right in.
They've been here for quite a while. They finally ring the doorbell and enter. Piglet could be going down. He flashes. They point blank. Hook chooses the right direction, and they're just going to get it special. Piglet trying to do what
Homeguard
he can here.
TG,
That
it's
home guard
matched.
TG will come in. Qua starts flying through. I don't know if he wants
Good
to be there
pass.
anymore with balls being in the fight. Here comes Phoenix from the top side. Tri-brush. He goes after Lemon. He's going to be chased out in that, and everybody's a bit split on their focus. I don't know if they finalize any more kills here.
Phoenix wants it.
Oh,
There it
got
is.
one.
Doesn't even have to flash on Azir, considering the investment for that dive.
Yeah, you lose a turret here though.
Close.
I mean, high disc of the...
So oh, they get one in response. All right.
Let's
Let's take a look at how that was set up again.
The Spell Shield, not getting a lot done
So
here.
turret really low. All summoners up though,
Go for it
and Meteos flies in with the flash.
anyway, though.
Bola.
Meteos-
So actually, this is interesting if you guys don't know this.
Now,
About how the
diving this
game
combo
works.
is actually fairly difficult with the All-Star Ultimate and the Spell Shield.
So you can ult faster with Sejuani if you flash. We're gonna watch it really slow. Because you cut off part of the casting time. See how it comes out instantly in that situation? There's no windup. It's cool because it helps you guarantee hit things. And allows you to make plays much better.
Piglet could be going down. He flashes. They point blank. Hook chooses the right direction, and they're just going to get it special. Piglet trying to do what
Homeguard
he can
TG,
here. That
it's
home guard
matched.
TG will come in. Qua starts flying through. I don't know if he wants
Good
to be there
pass.
anymore with balls being in the fight. Here comes Phoenix from the top side. Tri-brush. He goes after Lemon.
I
He's
mean,
gonna be
High doesn't
chased out in
move,
that,
but
and everybody's a
they
bit
just
split
trade
on
support for
their
support
focus.
in
I
the
don't know if
end.
they finalize any more kills here.
And the mid turret is more meaningful
Doesn't even have to
in the
flash
game,
on
especially
Azir.
when Phoenix is in mid and doesn't have any.
Oh, because of the turret, it's real close.
Well, he's very easily gankable if you chain that CC well.
Getting off the ropes. High is the one making plays, sacrificing farm.
Yeah.
So Cloud9, maybe they are having a little bit of problems here in the mid lane. Not quite sure. High deviating from the normal style. Let's see if he can hold the mid lane in response. Team Liquid looking to answer, but High is fine. So Cloud9 will take that turret to equalize a little bit there. Also, I do want to give props to Sneaky. He didn't just run away from Hecarim mindlessly as an AD carry. He got the tag off to take down the home guard bonus.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so TL with an invade after the recalls went down. Pretty standard.
I think that's a huge moment for the power spikes of Team Liquid. They're actually hitting item breakpoints at a really opportune time to be making substantially more aggressive plays as a sprinter initiation.
I really just want to watch game 3.
It really is. Team Liquid are delivering with the strength that we were looking for them to continue with.
That's true.
High making one of his promos.
Lost in trouble,
We can
though.
answer
Three
Quads.
people.
Kind of answering a bit of my question.
Meteos wants to pop an ult as well. They just have so much. I think Quads is probably.
Mm-hmm.
He
Hard
still
to put
goes
in.
in. Gonna ulti out on that
Oh, he
one.
missed.
Missed the ulti.
Not dead.
They still have a lot of crowd control into this turret and a lot of
Not
beef to take turret shots. They're gonna be able to get out of this one safely.
It doesn't matter if the ultimate misses.
Cloud9. They start to
You commit that much up to the top.
How Team Liquid responds to that. At that point in the game, Quas was a little bit too
And really Liquid can't do much about it either because they already pushed it to tier 2. They don't want to commit too hard into the mid lane because at that point you're very worried about C9 sweeping in behind you through your jungle, especially with the relative lack of wards in Liquid's top side. Phoenix has that passive, so this will allow him to show up.
The ability of Phoenix to bring out many different champions and keep Cloud9 guessing.
Yep.
The Urgot, the Vladimir, drawing bans, yet still a huge presence. His Azir,
here is going to be helping to start fights with Special here. And that turret behind them doesn't really allow Cloud9 to go hard even if they wanted to, because Liquid has a place to go safe.
Yeah. We have a pause come in.
Oh boy, 11-minute pause.
They were saying Flash was with their opinions. 21 minutes into this one, 5-5. Really, as we've been saying, no lead really to either side. Turrets have gone to Team Liquid right now, so if they can get the wards forward and pressure that, that's where we're going to be bringing it from.
Interesting thing to have to adapt to is these mid-game pauses in the middle of these long series as well.
That's a really good point.
Both these guys pretty experienced in the LCS, though, so no major changes. They also don't get to discuss strategy during these long pauses, so immediately Cloud9 trying to get a Dragon. This is the fight Team Liquid might want, but Team Liquid does not have the zone control.
I mean, there is a glory right here, but you have the Sivir ult to counteract it. Not too much tankiness yet onto Quas's Hecarim, but he does have a lot of damage.
Right now, so it's hard for them to
But without... Yeah. TL smart just to leave this one alone. They don't have the proper flank for an engage. This is really smart of TL. Look how decisive they are. This is good shot calling. So you come here, instead of... A lot of teams are just dumb, and they'll just commit to this fight no matter what, even if it's not ideal for them, because TL has to have an image in their mind about what they want to accomplish in these team fights. And the best way to use Hecarim is with that home guard TP. That's the optimal usage. So instead, they just zone them out right here and start playing in their jungle. Now, they've got good wards that they just dropped here, so they can kind of see all the brushes and just zone them off. Meanwhile, they can fast push mid. Also, Piglet's ult was down, so that would have been really risky for them.
Cloud9 made it all the way around before Team Liquid could pressure that turret. Brilliant rotations there by Cloud9.
See, they have the pressure here for the
But TL definitely has the right idea right there, and Cloud9 was able to make it around just in time.
Liquid went all the
Turret
Around the outside, go for it.
Yeah, unfortunately the minion wave was meeting exactly in the middle of the map. If it had been just pushed a little bit more forward towards C9's tower, they would have been able to probably get about half HP down on that tower.
all the way around before Team Liquid could pressure that turret. Brilliant rotations there by Cloud9.
See, they have the pressure here for the turret.
But there's not much that TL can do without Sivir ult.
2,000 gold here. This Team Liquid continues to push away.
Cloud9 just got away with highway robbery right there. Clean take of the Dragon. Liquid had immense vision control all over everything leading up to the Dragon as well. But Cloud9 in position first, burn it down, and get back to defend it. Really
Well,
displayed
the
that.
thing about the compositions, though, is that I'd much rather have Azir in the late game than Lissandra, because his sustained damage is going to be highly useful, and he is extremely scary with 6 items. Whereas Lissandra, eventually people are going to get QSS. Phoenix already has Cleanse, and she's going to have to ult herself or ult a target. Her burst really does fall off in the late game. So, if you're TL, you already have 2 dragons. There's no need to commit to that when you are at a disadvantage in terms of ults that are available.
Remember too that a lot of the extra gold lead here is coming from turret destruction. Cloud9
So I think that TL is playing a more measured game. No, I don't want to turn on filter keys.
into a lot of extra gold by taking down another outer turret or two. So there is possibility for sort of a bigger comeback swing for Cloud9 if they can catch somebody out of position. But right now, ball is
Okay,
fine.
so
Bottom lane there, he does have teleport available.
It becomes very difficult to set up a wave control. Team Liquid actually initiate onto Cloud9 right now.
They get the teleport out. Special still has ult.
Trying that just out of brute force. He knew the team was behind him, but Cloud9 is able to collapse.
Where's
way
Hecarim?
faster. The choke point
Oh, there he
not
is.
Right, he's just trying to hold on to bottom lane there. He does have teleport available. If they can
okay, so they're going to start fighting
bottom lane there. He does
over
have
this
teleport available.
ward in River.
It becomes very difficult.
And Hecarim again, not... This isn't the best setup for TL.
Team Liquid actually initiate onto Cloud9 right now.
They get the teleport out. Special still has ult.
Trying that just out of brute force. He knew the team was behind him, but Cloud9 is able to collapse way faster.
Super awkward.
The choke point is not allowing Liquid to get over to Expecial. He goes down, flying into the fight. Hyde throws down the ultimate. He's now the focus. Zanyas is on. The focus is him when he comes out. Quas is able to cut him down as he comes through with the onslaught of shadows. They're still going. Now an EDE. Quas is gigantic right now with Piglet still on the back line. Meteos in between 2. Almost gets Piglet. The true damage burn. He stays alive as he gets more
Quas is good at playing Hecarim. His Hecarim mechanics have been fun to watch. Okay, let's slow this down.
Get the teleport out. Special still has ult.
This would have gone much more heavily in favor of Team Liquid if they had a better setup right here, because Special basically just dies for free, effectively. They don't get anything because of this choke, right? And so C9 is in an extremely, extremely good position. And all they have to do, actually, having High over here is not ideal. Because High gets into the middle. First off, this is zero ult is really not good. He totally botched that one because High was able to get over it and then ult himself for the slow. But you don't want to pile in here if you're C9, because this right here is a huge problem. You can't get past Quas and I Will Dominate. Also, I Will Dominate still has his ult up. So if you walk into this choke right now, Piglet's going to throw a Boomerang Blade and ricochet the shit out of you. So this is a very good setup for TL. It would have been better to save Emperor's Divide. What they should have done is waited for High to come in and then waited for maybe one more person and then Emperor's Divided this direction, so that you just isolate a couple people and kill them immediately, so the trade isn't so even in the end. But there's the absolute zero right there. And then also he's able just to spam Sand Soldiers into this choke. I mean, this is a ridiculously bad situation for C9. Because, remember, this is basically a 5v4 for C9. Because they killed Xpecial for free. They took hardly any damage. And then you're stuck in Rampage, Ricochet, Sand Soldier Hell at the moment with a Blood Boiled AD carry. And oh, there you go. Hecarim ult 2. So TL should have been able to win that fight. C9 overcommitting once again to some of these battles. They keep walking into chokes. So they did it earlier against the Azir, and they did it again here. So, TL, and if we think back to, remember when I reviewed the TL CLG games, I said TL is really good at baiting people stupidly into chokes. They baited CLG into chokes, and it seems like every time I watch TL play, they hold all of their abilities. What they're really good at is holding their ultimates and holding their crucial AoE until you chase them into a choke. No reason for C9 to chase them into that choke point right there. TL had no business winning that fight after Xpecial went down. And instead, C9 could have just gone ahead and played around the Baron after that advantage, or pushed down top turret. I mean, there's a ton of things they could have done, right? Tons of things. And that was the worst choice they could have made.
Eventually, that sustained damage of Team Liquid started to pull through. That was a very close to being the Cloud9 fight they needed.
Also, take a look at how Tank.
And it's a good teleport right here, too. It forces Piglet and Phoenix back.
Support role. Look at Ball's health bar and Xpecial's health bar. They're basically dropping at the same rate, and Balls is a solo lane tank.
I was doing a great job zoning.
Hey, you don't go in here, right?
This time he waits a little bit longer with Lysandre in, so he doesn't get knocked out by the
This exact same fight. Remember the fight with CLG that was over here on the map where they baited them into Quas's Rumble ultimate, even though they started out with the advantage?
That was actually really good play. Lysandre played from high. And we're going again.
Right on to dominate.
They burned the list. Oh,
It's the heal. He tried to get the triumphant roar out, but the follow-up is too much coming in from Liquid. They're still going on the fight now. Lemonation's gonna go down. A triple kill. That's the blood boil Azir coming through, baby. And they're gonna hit it. Oh, of course Quas has the blood boil, but Quadra from Liquid.
We're going again. So he doesn't get knocked off by the Emperor's Divide. Effectively a useless Azir ult in this situation.
Wow, everybody just loves this choke.
Really good play, Lysandre.
Man, how did this even start? So dominates there, gets caught out.
Play from high. And we're going again.
Right on on to dominate.
They burned the list. Oh,
They literally just walk into this. They walk into this same choke again.
The heel. He tried to get the triumph. For roar out, but the follow-up is too much coming in from Liquid.
So Void Staff was just finished, so he's able just to massacre them. You see how there's no MR on this team? Look at his items.
It's gonna go down. A triple kill. That's the blood boil Azir coming through, baby. And they're gonna hit him.
They knew Quas had TP up too.
Quadra for Phoenix.
That was so funny.
Better Azir ultimate right now. Redo on the fight. Use the Azir ult properly. Huge kill there by
also, literally, Cloud9 used all of their hard C on Nunu, and they had, even after that, they had to have their AD carry commit forward to finish off the kill.
My favorite part is Piglet wasn't even part of that fight.
He hesitated, and they're like, you know what? We already put so much into killing this Nunu. We gotta finish him off. So they also throw a Sedge ult and have sneaky dash forward.
Yeah.
That is everything for a Nunu kill, and they have nothing left.
They think they
They used the Lissandra ultimate too.
Team Liquid here. Simmer and Hecarim
Look at this. They know there are two soldiers here. Before Sneaky dashes in, he knows that he can't walk through here.
being a 3v5.
Oh.
This is the power of Azir. The soldiers are indiscriminate of who they're hitting. Full damage,
That's so
full AoE.
dirty.
The Emperor's Divide crushes them. Then
So, moral of the story, don't fight Team Liquid in chokes. They're very good at fighting you in chokes.
killing all four of them, which is ridiculous. That is the potential of Azir in choke points with zone control.
If the soldier can poke you, they will poke you.
Yeah,
Indiscriminate soldiers.
he will poke all of you.
You'll poke
At
all of
once.
it. Yeah, that's right. Very true. Get that line damage going through.
9 kills for Team Liquid in the matter of about 2 minutes.
And 6 of them are on Phoenix now, 5 on Quas.
Yeah.
This is the solo lane carry game. It's so nice how Team Liquid are able to pivot. You know, Piglet, you're on the Sivir, a little bit more utility oriented. Don't worry about it. We have 2 ridiculous solo lane carries playing.
I don't know why Hecarim is with the team right now. They don't have... C9 doesn't have TP, and neither does TL, but having this incredibly fed Hecarim in the 1v1 would probably be good for them.
Who is this Team Liquid team? Honestly, they had so many struggles in the regular season. They had to play.
See, this is where you put things. I don't care if this is here. Just put it over here. This doesn't give me any relevant information right now. I don't need to see player cams.
Breaker game.
Good job.
Even making
Good job,
it into
Riot.
the playoffs. And then you look at a team like Cloud9. This is somewhat the story of their season because every other week we say Cloud9 is back because they look great the previous week. And then they go and lose a game they weren't expected to lose beforehand. Well, everyone said Cloud9 was back after they got the number
Grab the
seed
number
in
2
LCS.
seed real quick.
But are they really? There's been so much inconsistency from Cloud9 this entire split. Yes, they got the number 2 seed, but they look more vulnerable this split than ever.
Yeah, you can have some questions about Cloud9 this series. You can definitely say that this is the best that Team Liquid have looked on.
Yep.
By far.
By far. Indeed. They don't want that 4th spot. If they were to lose this game, it could be the same 1, 2, 3, 4 we had last year, but it's not the same cursed team. It's Team Liquid, and they're pushing on.
Alright, well, this game's over.
No, bounced out for elimination here. Meteos now heading for the fountain, and Team Liquid has Cloud9's base to themselves.
Yeah, nobody died there from
Tanks inside the base. 1 inhibitor down. That
yeah. It was like, yeah, that
Like,
guy's
you know-
Team Liquid team. Unless Cloud9 can close on Phoenix basically and instantly kill him, they're gonna have a bad time. The ultimate
Meteos
is
missed his
still-
ult.
the Sejuani ultimate is right there, not getting the stun on anyone. That's a failed initiation. Phoenix is still alive. High sells out for him.
Yeah.
but
It's a good flank,
Cloud9
but
was
they're so far ahead anyway, it doesn't really matter if that ult hits or not.
can continue to
Odds are you wouldn't be able to clean it up anyway.
Get too much.
That is the year ultimate. Yeah. Extreme trying to
the playoffs. Cloud9.
I forget if anything else happens in this game besides C9 losing.
Yeah, no Baron buff this time for Team Liquid to try and push down, but they still have the Azir, who makes turrets melt just by placing his spell on him right there. Sivir not the best sieger, thank goodness they have Azir. Look at High. He is done for before the fight.
Meteos goes for broke. The rest of the team has to follow for this to work. But again, Emperor's Divide is keeping all of Cloud9 from getting to Team Liquid. And they once again surgically remove Cloud9 from the map and move into the base.
And just for good measure, Qua sends a message.
One last
he
bump.
has to stay in the base.